All right, guys, what's going on here? So what we're going to do in this video, we are going to be reacting and commenting to a video that was just put out yesterday from a YouTube channel by the name of Ray and Zach. It's a father and son YouTube channel, and they're breaking down the state of Dodge, Stellantis, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, the whole nine, right? So apparently January was the worst month, one of the worst months on record for Dodge, right? For selling vehicles. And this is for Stellantis, period. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Apparently January was one of the worst months, January 2024. In this video, they explain exactly why that is and what Dodge is going to have to do in order to rectify that going forward. And I've been telling you guys this, but I want you to hear from somebody else. Let's get into it.
Talking to dealerships nationwide, and unfortunately, they are seeing Stellantis sales slow down more and more and more. Let me get that up on the screen here in just a second. You've got to imagine that has something to do with the fact that they've increased inventory or increased the prices of their vehicles by so much.
Yep.
But Dad, let's look at this on the screen. Here it is from Car Dealership Guy. It says there.
Yeah.
Don't have exact numbers yet, but based on messages I've received, I can confidently tell you that January was one of the worst months in years for Stellantis dealers. It's getting rough out there. Stellantis obviously is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat.
Yes.
I think I had a pretty good response asking if I wonder if it has to do with the 50% price increase on MSRPs over the past 5 years.
Now pay attention to this particular chart that they have here, right? Car price inflation by brand as of 2018 to 2023. So from 2018 to 2023, look at who is leading the inflation, like the price increase. Stellantis, which is Dodge, y'all, 50.61%, right? That is the amount that Dodge has gone up on their Chargers, their Challengers, and everything in between from 2018 to 2023. And if you don't believe me, let's go to Google. All right, so boom, a 2018 Dodge Charger Scatpack had a MSRP at $39,995. Now, you know, like I know after you option it out, it's more going to be like 45, 46, 47, right? 2023 Dodge Charger Scatpack has an MSRP of $51,925. So from $39,900 to $51,900, right? And of course, MSRP is just your base price. Once you option it out and all that stuff, dealer fees and all that stuff, it's going to be more. 2018 Dodge Charger Hellcat had an MSRP of $67,995. Now, of course, once you option that out, it'll probably be along the lines of 70, 72, 73, something like that, right? 2023 Dodge Charger Hellcat has a starting price of MSRP of, they're saying $79,445, but if you go to the Dodge website, it does say $82,670. Right, so what do we go from 667 to 82,670? That's what that 50% increase is talking about. Let's get back to the video.
Dad, this comes on the heels of Stellantis at NADA talking about the EV products they're launching and how excited they are for 2024. At the same exact time, we see EVs not selling. For franchise car dealers, for Tesla, they're still selling like hotcakes. But for franchise car dealers, EVs are sitting. So you've got exciting product launches, EVs, not selling, and dealers reportedly having one of the worst Januaries they've ever had. What do you make of what's going on now?
I'm so glad I sit here and not behind a desk at a delership imploring my salespeople and my staff to figure out how they're going to sell some cars today. It's remarkable to me that a manufacturer such as Stellantis can be so tone deaf when it and I'm saying this knowing full well that they are perhaps the most profitable automobile manufacturing company concern in the world. Okay, it just makes you wonder how. Based on how they just don't care about their customers, to have raised the prices of their vehicles by over 50% the last 5 years, to have not supported their dealers with the type of incentives it takes to move inventory that isn't selling quickly.
Now, what I will say is a lot of this, I think, is hyperbole. And I say that to say, you know, in some of these cases, you'll listen to this interview and it sounds like he may or both of them may be exaggerating the state of where Dodge is and where Dodge dealerships is. Now, unless you work for a Dodge dealership, it's kind of hard to say what they're going through and what incentives and what means and methods have been put in place to support dealerships. So once again, take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, but some of the points that they hit on is pretty accurate, and I did want to bring that to y'all. But once again, a lot of this stuff is hyperbole. It's stuff that, you find on YouTube or Google.com, and then you run with it, you make a video. We don't know what's going on at Dodge dealerships because most of us don't work at Dodge dealerships, so nobody can say what is and what is not going on behind the scenes at the dealerships. But let's go ahead.
They're just things that, I told you this before, if I was a Stellantis dealer, what I'd be doing right now is trying to figure out how I could find a moron to come by my dealership.
Once again, I think that's hyperbole. I don't think Dodge is that bad to where you should start selling Dodge dealerships. People are still buying Scatpacks and Hellcats. My DMs are flooded with people that just bought brand new Scats and Cats. All right, so let's not make it seem like nobody's buying them and all dealerships should sell and Stellantis should, go belly up. That's not the case. But once again, let's continue watching.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'd be doing. Because I have to look, if you're a dealer of a CDJR dealership and you already know that you have more inventory than you know what to do with, that you have the Dodge Hornet that nobody's asked for and doesn't sell particularly well. If you have Jeep products that have had 5 consecutive years of declines in sales volume. If you have Chrysler, where realistically you have 2 products, the Pacifica and the Chrysler 300, or Dodge, where you're doing away with your...
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that all that Chrysler had was the Pacifica and the 300. But now that he mentions it, maybe the 200? Are they still selling a Chrysler 200? They may still be selling a Chrysler 200. So maybe the Pacifica 300 and 200.
Or Dodge, where you're doing away with your muscle cars, so that inventory's building up and demand for that inventory is dwindling. So if you own those franchises and you know Stellantis's intentions are to come out with, I believe it's 24 or 25 new EV models over the next 5 or 6 years, when EV sales are stagnating, you got to look at that and you got to go, how am I ever going to make money with this brand? So I jokingly,
capital investments, Dad. Like that's the other thing. Yeah, like the dealers are not. It's not like, oh, these EVs are coming and you have to do these things, and don't worry, it's not coming out of your checkbook. They have to spend tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars for the sorry to cut you off, but I think that's an important part of this is like, it's bad. And then to add insult to injury, you also have to invest even more money right now. Why would you?
Exactly. And so that's why, I jokingly say, I would hope I could find a moron to buy my dealership. But, if you look at it long term or over the next 3, 4, 5 years, you have to say to yourself with the dollars that need to be invested, that perhaps now would be the right time to sell, to get out. Because if and it's hard to read the future, but yeah, I don't think it's that hard to say we have overpriced stuff that nobody's buying. We're going to come out with more overpriced stuff that perhaps nobody's buying or nobody will buy.
Now, when he says overpriced stuff, obviously he's talking about the 50% increase, right, of the Chargers and Challengers and the Chryslers and the Jeeps and all that stuff. I didn't realize that if you option a Jeep 392 all the way out, you can get it damn near up to about $90,000. I was on Jeep.com just messing around looking at a 392 Jeep Wrangler, and I optioned it out, leather seats, the whole 9. I think that comes standard with 392. But like once you get it up there, you can get it $80,000+. And I was like, that's wild. For a 392, 80+. But this is what he was referring to when he's talking about overpriced stuff that's sitting on the lot.
And I have to spend a lot of money in order to sell that overpriced stuff that nobody wants. I don't think it's going to be profitable for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Let's get out. I think if I were a dealer, that's where my head would be if I owned a CDJR franchise.
I don't think it's that bad. Once again, I think this is hyperbole and a little bit of exaggeration. I don't think it's that bad with Stellantis, Dodge, Ram, all them. I think a lot of them are still selling. They're just not selling as much of their inventory as they have in the past. But I don't think it's to the point where we need to start selling Dodge dealerships. But then again, it's YouTube, so let's keep listening.
I think that's what's so fascinating. So, when I created today's stream of It Just Got Even Worse for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, it was predicated on this headline. This headline came out 5 hours ago. And I thought the interesting storyline here is the fact that, yes, Stellantis is pushing into the into EVs at the same time where we actually see other legacy automakers pull back. GM yesterday, we documented how they're actually reintroducing hybrid hybrid powertrains into their.
So that speaks to what I've been talking about here recently about how for some reason Stellantis wants to be the first to the party, the EV party. They want to be the first ones there, and they want to be 100% all in, which makes no sense because every other manufacturer like GM, like he just said, are pulling back and holding on to their hybrid engines as well as their V8s and V6s. And with Ford is doubling down on the V8, saying, listen, if we're the only company or manufacturer that's pushing the V8 sports car, that's fine with us. Like, we're doubling down on it. But for some reason, Stellantis wants to be the first one and the only one at these dealerships. And at the expense of sacrificing their bread and butter, the Charger, the Challenger, the Hemi, the Hellcat, the Scatpack, in order to be there. And this guy just said that the EVs are not selling unless it's Tesla. Tesla obviously is going to sell because that's all they sell.
And lineup, and slowly but surely walking away from their 2035, all we produce is battery electric vehicles. So you see EVs selling at a lesser rate, again, except for Tesla. Tesla's growth, when we have these conversations, just put Tesla to the side because they're in a category of their own. So you've got Stellantis talking about, hey, dealers, get excited for this. At the same exact time, it's not like I knew car dealership guy was going to tweet what he tweeted this morning. That came out 16 minutes ago, Dad.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, CDG's at NADA right now, the National Automobile Dealers Association meeting in Las Vegas. He's probably talking to folks literally on the ground right now. We are not in cahoots. I didn't text him this morning. I didn't say, hey, what's going on with Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram? The story is very clear, man. And I think Igor's comment here, starts to solidify it as well. Before I sold my Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealerships, I always kept roughly 140 to 160 days worth of inventory. Now my old dealership has over 500 days supply on their lot. It's crazy and flat out dangerous. I think dangerous is the right.
Now, what I will say to that is I feel like I've seen more Chargers and Challengers, Scatpacks, Hellcats, wide bodies, slim bodies on Dodge dealerships right now than I've ever seen before. I mean, it used to be a time where you wouldn't dare see a wide body Scatpack or a wide body Hellcat sitting outside out of fear of being stolen. And because, that was just the bread and butter. And it was one of those things like if those cars came in on a Friday, they were gone by Monday. So there was no point in even putting it outside because it's going to be gone by Monday. But the last time I went to my dealership, or the last time one of my subscribers went, he sent me a video. I mean, I saw lime green cats, scats, wide bodies, slim bodies. Everything you could imagine was just sitting on the lot outside, just waiting for you. And they even on the inside, they had more scats and cats, Durango Hellcat, slim body Challenger, and a purple shaker. You know what I mean? So I can, to some degree, I agree with what the statement that was just said, that the inventory is, I don't know about 500 days. Once again, I'm not a Dodge dealer or affiliated with the Dodge dealership. But that sounds something close to being about right.
And when you read that article that you referenced from Stellantis, the head of Stellantis is saying, we're not going into the EV business to lose money. Okay. So our EVs are going to be priced so that we, as the manufacturer, can make money. Well, we know that, people like Ford, businesses like Ford, some of the GM products, they make next to nothing on their EVs, and they are already staggeringly overpriced for vehicles in the market today.
He's got a point there. When you think EV, you think Tesla. Let's just be real here. No one thinks Ford, Mustang Mach-E, or GM Chevy Bolt. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things like if you're going to go EV, you're going to get the best of the best. You're going to get what's been tried and true, which is Tesla. Let's keep it 100 here. If I were to get an EV and I wanted something that was 100% electric, it would be a Tesla. It wouldn't be a Chevy Volt. It wouldn't be a Ford Mach E Mustang. It would be a Tesla. So to his point, he's saying that Chevy, GM, and Ford are suffering when it comes to the EVs because it's like, if you want the best of the best laptop, you go to Apple, because they're tried and true and the Mac OS is the best of the best. You wouldn't go and get Lenovo or something like that. That's not necessarily tried and true. You would get the best of the best, which is Apple. You would get a company that has been in that business for years and doing it successfully. Let's go.
And it's not just domestics. Honda comes out with an EV, the Prologue, or the Pro, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's
and it's
Prologue.
expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. Like EVs are just more expensive than ICE vehicles. Yeah.
So how do you, as Stellantis, a brand that is losing market share, that has now fallen behind Hyundai Kia in sales volume in the United States, how do you, as that brand with declining sales, justify that you're going to price your EVs at a point where, at least from the manufacturing end of things, you're going to be able to make money where all the others can't? And in order to do that, that means that your pricing is going to have to be higher than all the others. So why do you think anybody would buy them? I mean, that's, I appreciate Carlos Tavares, trying to say, we're not in this to price it so that the numbers are in red ink instead of black ink. That doesn't seem like it would make a whole lot of sense for us to deal with red ink. Well, ultimately, your dealers are going to, if they aren't already.
Dad, I think this comment here from, spot on. Those dealerships with 500-day supply are going to go bankrupt very soon. You're about to see a ton of consolidation. I mean, I don't see another way out. You're going to see CDJR dealerships that are transacting, and maybe not tomorrow, but in 2024 and 2025, transacting at relatively low prices compared to where they had been a year ago, 2 years ago, because people won't be able to cash flow them. Like, they really won't. And the finger is very quickly going to be pointed back to Stellantis, the OEM. I was talking to a CDJR dealer this morning that Stellantis decided to extend their January programs till February 7th this month. So they haven't really announced their new February programs. They're just extending their aggressive programs from January into February.
So what a lot of you may not know is that Dodge is currently running a cashback. Let's see here. Dodge incentive. Yeah. Boom. Dodge deals and incentives. So right now they're running a deal where basically you get $3,000 back on everything. So get up to $3,000 back, and it expires on 2/7/24. Initially, it was supposed to just go to the end of January, but they extended it. So if you go to show all offers, you'll see here that they've got this deal for $3,000 back on pretty much everything: all wheel, rear wheel, RT, Scat, Cat. Yeah, they're doing it for all of them. Well, I take that back. Maybe not the Cats. Yeah, all the way up to about, they're doing some deals for the Cats and Scats too. But yeah, this is the deals that he's talking about, that they extended to February.
There's a kickoff meeting just this afternoon to figure out what the actual plan of attack is at Stellantis for February. You've got to imagine it's going to be aggressive, man, or else the dealers are going to be, the owners are going to be pissed.
Yeah, but Zach, if they're extending January's programs for another week, and January was a horrendous month for their dealerships, well, that's another week of, why would you expect things to improve? That's another week where you've just pretty much waved the white flag. I hate to use a legal term here, but time is of the essence. You don't have time to mess around here. You need to look at the fact that January was a particularly slow month with what they considered to be aggressive incentives. Well, if it were me as the man, I would have to say to myself, well, I guess what we thought were aggressive wasn't really aggressive within the marketplace. So
yeah, you're right.
We need to get uber aggressive. And you know, and you know what? We're going to take a week to try and figure out what that looks like. That's BS.
Yeah, no. The dealer that I was talking to this morning, Dad, he was pissed. He's like, "How do you extend your program for 1 week? That you just said without saying it, you have no plan.
Yeah,
You have no plan. You're not organized around what your plan is to sell cars. You don't know what you're doing." On the heels of CDG's tweet, the Auto News headline, it's rough out there, man. I will say,
yes.
I think my dad's honest, and I think the programs have to get better. So if you are in the market for a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram product, for example, we had a comment here come in from Carl P saying, "I'd rather buy straight off the internet, straight from Stellantis." Well, Carl P, we can't get you straight from Stellantis, but you actually can purchase Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles on CarEdge.com. Skip the dealership, folks. And the dealers that we're working with to source the inventory, the prices are going to continue to get more and more competitive as they have pressure to move it. And of course, OEM incentives apply. So I do encourage everyone that is thinking about a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram purchase, I don't know, in the next month or two, time it up here with us or look hard. The deals are going to be the deal. Like, there's going to be deals. Stellantis cannot sit back and lose more market share and have their dealers get more pissed off.
I'm telling you guys that for the longest. Patience. Dodge cannot keep up with the $60,000, $70,000 Scat Pack prices for the rest of 2024. They have to come up off of that extremely. Like, they have to get aggressive with the deals, right? I mean, aggressive to the point that we may be seeing cats and scats going for 2016, 2015 MSRP. Like, they have to get aggressive with selling these cars, because at the end of the day, I mean, they're just sitting on the lots. You know what I'm saying? They're just expensive, paperweights at that point. Extremely heavy, big paperweights, but paperweights nonetheless. They've got to get, drastic with the deals. They have got to get drastic with, the sales and the deals and the incentives and all that stuff, which is going to benefit you as the consumer, because the longer you wait and the more Dodge realizes that their dealerships are full of cats and scats, they're going to have to come to the realization, we've got 2023 and 2024 Dodge Hornets coming in. We've got the new 24 Charger coming in, the new 25 Charger coming in after that. We've got to get these old ass ICE cars off the lot, ergo Hellcats and Scats. So it's going to get stupid as far as the deals are concerned, if you ask me. I think that they're going to get drastic, which benefits you if you can wait. Instead of going out there and buying right now, wait. And I guarantee you, you may walk out of a dealership with a brand new Scat for $40,000, wide body, fully loaded, and a Cat for $60,000. Like, it may get that crazy.
And lose more market share and have their dealers get more pissed off and on the fringe, on the cusp of bankruptcy. Like, they're gonna have to do something.
Yes. They're gonna have to do something. So that was the gist of this video, man. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to bring to you guys there. This is a long ass video, and I recorded a lot more. But ultimately, what it is, guys, is that there's a reason that these dealerships are being flooded with all of these scats and cats. And number one is, for one, they're overpriced. People are not buying them because they're overpriced, because people can, turn the clock back 4 or 5 years and say, hold up, this exact same car was almost $20,000 cheaper than it is now. What changed between 2018 and 2023? Nothing, literally nothing. I mean, same 6'4", same 6'2". What, you got a bigger supercharger, bigger air box? You gave me, 60 more horsepower or 90 more horsepower? So for that 90 horsepower, you want an extra 20,000? A lot of people are not going for it. So it's one of those things where people are coming to the realization, listen, I see scats and cats all day long, all over the streets. I'm not about to spend a mortgage on a car. I'm not about to spend a mortgage on a Dodge too. You know what I'm saying? And people are, backing out of the market, right? So the demand, the supply is there, but the demand is not currently, because the prices are so high. And to the point of, what's the name of that YouTube channel? Shout out to them. I'll put their link in the description. Make sure that you go and watch the original video. I think it was like 30 minutes. Ray and Zach, their father and son YouTube channel. But to their point, the prices are getting so high at the point to where people are just simply not going to buy it. They're not even interested in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where, in order to make way for the future of Dodge, the Hornet, the 24 Charger, the 25 Charger, in order to make way for that, they've got to get all of these old ICE automobiles off the lot, internal combustion engines, the scats and the cats off the lot. And that's where they're going to get drastic. That's where they're going to get drastic with the prices. That's where they're going to get drastic with the deals, because otherwise, I mean, like, I couldn't imagine a lot full of 23 Scats and Cats, 24 Dodge Hornets, 24 Chargers, 25 Chargers, and you can't even move last year's, last year's inventory. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to get drastic, right? They're going to have to get drastic with the prices. The prices are going to have to drop somehow, some way. I don't know if they're just going to outright drop it below the MSRP, or if they're going to start offering so many incentives and deals that like it would, benefit the average consumer to go in there and buy the car at the price, just because you're getting so many deals and incentives added on it. I mean, what was it called? Power dollars, where for every if it was a Scatpack, that was $4,800. If it was a Hellcat, that was $7,000 plus. If it was a Red Eye, that was $8,000. Stuff like that's going to have to come back. Like, you can't charge these kind of prices and expect the people to be buying them just outright and no type of deals on top of it. Like, currently, right now, this $3,000 cash back deal that they've got $3,000 for the SXTs, for the GTs, for the RTs. Not even the RT. Once you get to the RT, it goes down to $2,000. You know what I'm saying? And then the Scatpack, they're talking about the leases. Like, you can lease for $776, but you got to put $5,000 down. Like, nobody's putting $5,300 down for a Scatpack to lease it. And then the wide body's even worse, $863. So, I mean, the reality of the situation is that they can't keep their lot full of these cars before they're going to have to come down off of these prices significantly. Now, what I will say is people are still buying these cars. Don't get it twisted. Like, watching that video, that would give you the impression that nobody's buying Chargers and Challengers. These dealerships are suffering. I don't believe that's the case. I believe that there are a lot of dealerships that are, to some degree profitable. Some are probably suffering, the smaller ones, but the bigger ones, I'm sure that they're making their way. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Dodge is going to be around. I don't foresee Stellantis going anywhere. I don't foresee Ram, Chrysler, Jeep going anywhere. He had a statistic that the last 5 years, the Jeep has been suffering, or the Jeep sale prices have been consistently dropping in the last 5 years. I don't know how true that is, just because, like, at least in Charlotte, North Carolina, all I see is Chargers, Challengers, Jeeps, Rams, Durangos, right? Now, maybe I'm biased to my area, my geographical location, but trust me when I say Mopar is going to sell. My DMs are flooded with grown-ass men and young men out here that just bought their first Scat, bought their first Cat, bought their first RT. People are still buying Dodge Chargers and Challengers. People are still buying Rams. People are still buying Jeeps. People are still buying Chryslers and so on and so forth. People are still buying these cars. They're just not buying them at the rate that they once were, right? But that's temporary up until the point that Dodge starts to come down off of some of those prices, which it's not an if, it's a when. It's going to happen. So as the consumer, once again, as I've been saying in my previous videos, your best bet is just to be patient and wait. It's going to happen. It's not the if, it's the when. It's going to happen. You heard it from Ray and Zach. I mean, based on their research, it has to happen. It's not even that it's going to, like, it has to happen. In order for Dodge to finish out 2024 in a, profitable sense or whatever, they have to come down off of these prices. They can't keep dealerships full of Scats, Cats, and everything in between, and then expect for the new generation of everything else to come in. That just doesn't work that way. So they're going to get drastic with the prices. A lot of dealerships have already gotten drastic. A lot of dealerships have cut the markup. There used to be a time where some dealerships was charging 10, 20, 30 over MSRP for markup for the Chargers and Challengers. I think it was like 30 plus if it was a Hellcat, and 20 if it was a Scat. Most of the dealerships, if not all of the dealerships that I've seen and that you guys have told me about, has cut the markup. So a lot of these cars are selling right at MSRP. They're selling at MSRP right now, which for some people is still too much, understandable. Even that's going to drop towards the end of the year, because as the year comes to a close and they're getting more Hornets and more 24 Chargers and 25 Chargers in, they're really going to have to get aggressive with getting rid of, their old inventory. So MSRP is going to be 10,000, 15,000 less than MSRP, 20,000 less than MSRP. Better yet, just come in and tell us the price that you want to pay for it and we'll give it to you type deal. Like, they're going to get aggressive, they're going to get flexible, and it's going to be one of those things where you're going to get the best deal of your life for one of these cars. A better deal than me, I'll say that much. But that's it, guys. That's just kind of what I wanted to bring to you today. That explains that, you know, this video kind of encompasses why the dealerships are flooded with the inventory, and it kind of tells you what's going to happen in the future. And it's just a matter of you as a consumer being patient, waiting your options out. And I can almost guarantee you, whatever car you want from Dodge, it's going to work out if you're patient about it. And to be real with you, if you go up to Dodge right now and say, listen, I want to buy this car, but I'm not paying $1 over this price for it, they may work with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these dealerships are coming to the realization, like, they've got to move these cars. They got to get rid of them. So you may be able to walk in there and say, listen, I'm not paying $1 over $58,000 for this wide body Scat, $55,000 for this wide body Scat. I don't care that it says it's selling for $59. I'm not paying $1 over $55. They'll go back, talk to the finance manager. The finance manager will say, okay, well, you know, sell it, get rid of it. $55,000 is much better. $55,000 sold is much better than $59,000 sitting on the lot. So take that for what you will. But as always, guys, it's Mini Boy Knockout 360, man. Shout out to the Ray and Zach YouTube channel. I'll put the link to not only their channel, but to this video. If you want to watch the full thing, the stream was like 30 minutes. So by all means, go over there and check them out. But as always, Mini Boy Knockout 360. Just wait it out. Be patient. Okay, Dodge is still going to be here. Stellantis is going to be here. Nobody's going bankrupt. I don't foresee that happening. All right, you will be able to get your hands on your Charger, your Challenger. You just got to be patient and let it, you know, let things work themselves out. They always do. See you guys in the next one. Peace.